call is now being recorded.
All right. So welcome to today's DAX class. We'll be continuing from where we stopped. Yeah, so I was asking if anybody has been able to go through the video. Have any of you gone through it? I want to probably just give a breakdown on in your Inspire. Inspire, you want to say something? Okay. All right. So we stopped at we're looking at the row context, the evaluation context of DAX data analysis expression, and we walked through some examples. So briefly today I want to continue from there. And there's, like I mentioned, there are several functions that we'll kick off using when writing DAX, all right? Ranging from aggregate functions to date functions, logical functions, um, time intelligence functions, filter functions, all right, related tables and the likes. So today I might go a bit intermediate for the sake of others too, and I might still put it on a very basic level. So if you can recall where we stopped, I think we stopped at we're still working on aggregate functions, all right, aggregate functions, and I told you what aggregate functions are, what they do, and how DAX expression evaluates them in a row context. All right, so just a preview, also an overview of the data I'll be working with. It's still the same data set. Well, I added a different data set because what I'll be working on, it's not going to be very representative of the analysis we'll be carrying out, or the DAX analysis will perform the DAX formulas and function. So I'm still on my data set here that has the fact table, contains a lot of metrics here and values that can be worked on. And I also have my customer, this is a descriptive table. It's also called we have the fact table, and then we have other tables that are attached to it too. We have the date table also. We have the geography, the product. So it's a sales data set. All right, it's a sales data set. And yeah, I have my schema already mapped out. If you can see. So this data set, it's quite it's really quite messy, but probably I'll share it across after the class so that we can have it as we're working with it also. Okay, so we'll continue with aggregate functions. All right. I think there was an example I was trying to give that didn't work out. I think that's what we ended the class with. Let me go over again to write it. I was able to figure it out. It was a little mistake I made from the DAX expression. So one of the expressions we're trying to calculate was the total profit. All right, so every business is meant to make profits. Okay, and when we're carrying out analysis, we want to see our profits, at a row level at every transaction that was made. All right. So I'll come over here and I'll click on my measure. All right. Sorry, on the new colon. The next thing I'm going to write is the function sum x. I was telling us how the data analysis expression evaluates context based on rows. So before this is what I want to do. If I come over to my fact table here, so let's just have a glance of the data set we are working with. All right. So remember I said the fact table contains multiple transactions. So it's in the many side of our relationship from background from data modeling. So every transaction here, they might a customer might have made a transaction over and over and over and over again. So it's all recorded here. And now we want to calculate, the total sum of profits we've made. Okay. And then, to do that, I want to do it on an aggregate level using the sum x function. All right. So all right, my sum, let's see, grand profit was the sum x function. Now, the sum x function, the first argument it requests for is always a table. All right, these are called x functions. All right, so it's the first argument that it requires or the first parameter is always a table. All right, so I'm currently in my facts table, so I will return the facts table. All right, I return the facts table, click on my tab key, and the next argument is requesting for is an expression. All right, so to do that, I want to make I want to make a multiplication between the units and then the unit price. All right, the unit and then the unit price of, that's the quantity rather. So in this table, it's referred to as units from the name of the column. So to do that, I'll write out my fact table. So you can either write it like this: facts first, which is the fact table, and put your single quote. All right, and so I look for where unit is. So you can write it out or use the IntelliSense. But it's always good to use the IntelliSense because it's prone from errors and makes your expressions clean. All right, and I multiply it by, see what I'm talking about now. It's supposed to be units. Okay, let me just go straight to the IntelliSense, and then I include my multiplication sign. To do the same thing I want to call for the unit price also. So I go to my facts, and then I have the unit price. Click on enter. All right, so this was what we got the last time, which it's an error. All right, so like I mentioned, what the sumX function does is that it calculates, it sums it sums all the rows row by row. It goes first from the first one, and then goes to the next one, goes to the third one, down to the last. So if I come over to my report view to click, so if I decide to visualize this now, it's giving me a wrong answer. All right, because the total profit is not up to this. The reason is because when writing aggregate functions and X functions, you do it in using a calculated measure. So like I told you, the calculated measure is used to it's used to add analytical value to your data set when carry out analysis. All right. So if you come over here to see that it's calculated under a calculated measure, you come here. So you see over here, it's showing colon 2. So you will know that it's a mistake. So we'll go over and write it. This was a mistake that that occurred the last time. So we'll go over here. I let me get rid of it, delete from colon, yes. So I write a new measure instead. And then name it as grand profit. I'll explain. So I write my sum X function. All right, table first, facts, and then my expression, units multiplied by quantity, price rather. Right, so this is the correct expression now. So it's just like the product function in Excel. So if you want to calculate what the sumX function is doing now, it's calculating the total revenue units, the quantity sold times the price. All right, the quantity sold times price. That's what it's calculating all through on a row context level. All right, and you do that through your measure. So at the end, it sums everything. So we can now come over to our report view and make our visualization here. Okay, so this is what the sumX function does. All right, Susan, you raised your hand. Hello, Susan. Susan, are you trying to make a comment or ask a question? Okay. I think
I think you muted everyone. Let's check.
yeah, I forgot I muted everyone. Let me unmute. All right. I think Susan can go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, for the facts you keep writing, I don't know, is it composed with always include the fact? Can't we just go like sum x is equals unit times unit price? Must we always include the fact?
Okay. Okay. So I was saying that, let me go back to my measure again. I think I need to rename this. This is not profit. It should be revenue. We've not calculated our profit yet. Okay, so to answer your question, if you can recall, I mentioned that whenever you are working with X functions, all right, whenever you're working with X functions, the first parameter that is requested is always a, let me show you, let me give you an example again. Let me use the count X function. Okay. So the first parameter is always a table. So the count counts the number of values which result from from evaluating an expression for each row of a table. All right. So it's always, that's the syntax for the X functions. Does that answer your question? So because if you want to write it, you have to, include your table before your expression. Unlike every other functions or formulas within Power BI. All right, all right. Okay, so all right, so okay, Doris, go ahead, please.
All right, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. So
Yeah, good evening.
last class, like this some S fat unit and fat times fat unit price.
Yes.
What we are calculating was total revenue. So I'm just seeing you writing one ground profit. So I'm kind of confused. Is this formula for total revenue or the profit?
Okay. So if you observed, it was I had to rename I had to rename I had to rename it ground revenue. If you can see it here. Okay, so if you can take a look, if you see what I did here, I had to rename it. It's, your profits, you calculate your profit after you've made sales, right? So let me let me show you something else to break it down. So remember we worked with a data set, and I used that as an example for the last class. Okay, how many of us remember this? All right, so remember we're trying to calculate the quantity and price, right? The quantity and price gives you revenue. For those of us that have an accounting background or in sales marketing, the revenue is different from your profit. Revenue is the same thing as, your total sales. You've not calculated your profit, and to do that, we in Excel we use the product um, function multiplied by this. All right, and then it gave us 200. So we auto populated it here down. Okay. So this is so if we sum to get everything now, we sum the whole of our revenue to get total revenue, just total revenue. We've not calculated profit. So this is the total revenue. Now, likewise, the sumX function. What the sumX function does is that, let me share. What the sumX function does is the same thing. Okay, it does the same thing. So this is the unit in this case, quantity multiplied by the unit price. All right, and then it calculates everything to give us this ground revenue. That's why I changed it. Was a mistake. That's why I changed it to profit. We've not calculated our profit yet. Does that answer a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, beautiful. Okay, so that's it. All right, so the next okay, to check to confirm, we can as well, come over to our fact table, write another measure, call it, I've written a lot of measures that have the same name, so I might just be abbreviating it. Write let me write brand profit. Okay, sum I hope, where is this measure? So what this grand profit is calculating now, it's calculating for every, it's calculating the total profit here. Okay, it's calculating the total profit. This is calculating the total profit here. All right. So what I was doing, I was calculating for the total revenue. Okay. Doris, are you okay with the explanation?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So moving on, let's check a different X function now. All right. So for example, you are asked as an analyst to count the number of rows, where quantity is greater than 5. All right. So you want to the count function, it counts unique occurrences. So let's see it in a real case scenario. Let me get rid of this. I hope we're a bit fast today. I need to cover some functions. All right, click on new measure. So let's call this number of sales where quantities, okay, greater than 5. Let me use a different. So like I said, there's a different data set here. As I earlier said, this data is not fully representative, but because of the examples I want to give, I'm working with both of them. I'll maybe clean it up and share it. So over here is my sales data. If I come to my tab here, it's not linked up to, it's different from this model we are seeing here, this model view. So sales is standalone here. So let's preview it briefly to understand. Before you work with any data set, it's always best practice to understand your data. All right. So this data set contains the date column, contains the day, the month, the year, the customer age group, customer, gender, country. It's still a sales data set like the other one, but it's just it's a denormalized data set, just a flat table. It doesn't contain fact and dimension tables. We have sales, product categories, subcategories also. So I think it's rich for what I'll be showing and sharing to us rather. So basically, I want to use the count x function now. I create a new measure. Now the question in view is we want to calculate the total number of rows. Remember the count x function, it counts the number of rows in a table or expression that results from evaluating a specified expression for a row. Unlike the count function, count x function works row by row. Remember I said it's like an iteration process. So it takes the first row, goes into the next row, and does the same thing over and over and over again. So we want to count the number of rows that have made sales or that have made sales with quantity greater than 5 here, or any number depending on the condition we're given. So let's preview our other quantity, for example. All right, the other quantity now, we use this filter. The filter technique here, we come over here. Where is, so this is the other quantity. All right, and we've seen that these are unique values, 1 2 3 4 5 6 down to 32. Okay, so we want to count how many transactions that have occurred with a particular number of quantities that has been ordered by our customer. Now mind you, if you come over to this point here, if you look at the total number of rows here, it's 113,000 rows. All right, so these are distinct values also. So let's use the count function. I create my new measure. So I'll name it probably count orders. Okay, and then I use the count x function. Now the count x function, like I mentioned earlier on, every x functions, they require table as the first argument. Now because you've seen how I worked with the sum x function, all right? So because this is a condition we're giving, we want to know how many products or how many quantity have been ordered for a particular product. This is what we apply the filter function here. So it's going to be, it contains logic conditions. So we click on the filter function. The filter function also requires a table as the first argument. Okay, so because we're working in the sales table, we call sales, see it, which is represented with this columns here, called sales tables, and then we write our expression. The expression is order of quantity where the number of quantity is greater than a particular amount. Okay, so we are referring to the order quantity row here. We're referring to the order quantity row, so we refer to it again. So you use the sales, you write your sales table in the order of things. The sales table, the sales comes before the table rather comes before the column name. So instead of writing it, we can just work with our intelligence here that has been provided by Power BI. So we click on the order quantity. All right. Now remember the count function counts it unique. It gives you unique value because there are several entries. So where sales order quantity, where quantity is equal to or greater than, depending on the condition you've given to it. Okay. So we can say greater than 5, for example, greater than 5, and then we close the parentheses. So this covers this one also, the first one here. Then if we click on our command sign, it still shows us what is left within the count x function, the table. We've included the table, and then what's left is the expression. So remember, we are counting the number of orders greater than 5 for the items that were sold, which is our sales order quantity. Okay, so we close our parentheses here again, and our function is good to go. So we click on enter.
Oh my God, I'm happy. I'm happy. Yeah, congratulations. Training is good.
Okay, so
God's grace and mercy in this new year.
come over to our report view here, and we can click on our card. We'll go to our account X. What was the name of the column? Okay, I'm in my sales table. All right. Count orders. Okay. So from what we've seen here now is that we have 71,000 orders that are greater than 5 using the count X, X function. So these are unique. So orders that are greater than 5. Let's check our table here. So what it means, it went row by row to count. So how many transactions were made? What it means is that how many transactions were made at a go that had more than 5 quantities at the same time. Okay, more than 5 is greater than 5. Excuse me, greater than 5. That means it will include 7, it will include 5, it will include 27, it will skip 3, it will include 10, 11, 12, down, over. So we had 70, what did we have again? 71 unique counts that had that. To make it more interesting, okay, because while we're trying to answer some real case scenarios, business questions, we can say how many. Let's give it a different condition. Let's use the equality sign instead. So we want to know how many entries or how many orders we had that were equal to this, for example. So we can use, let's check our order quantity here, see what we have here. Okay, let's use 32. Okay, so it has changed from 71,000 to 258 count orders. So just to be sure with what we're doing, just to be sure, we come over to our order quantity. Okay, and let's filter for I used the condition equals 32. Let's filter for 32 alone and see if it will tally. Okay. So if I scroll down, you see 40 rows out of 258 orders. You can come over here down to the left the bottom left. You can see 258 rows filtered. So we have 258, orders that had order quantity more than 32. All right. So that's what the count function does, 232. So you can use it to answer questions like, how many, we want to know where the bulk of our sales is coming from, or bulk of our revenue, according to the number of orders that were made. All right. So does anyone, any question? Priscilla? Okay, your hands are up.
Sorry, it's a mistake.
Okay. Another person, any question? Please ask questions. If you are not getting it, I could go over again to explain.
Excuse me, sir. I raised my hand, but you're not calling me.
Okay, I can't. It was just Priscilla's hand. All right, please go ahead.
Okay. What I actually wanted to ask was that for the, at the model view, the sales table was not in relationship with the fact table. Why is that not in relationship with the fact table? And secondly, I want to ask that why is it that when you want to calculate the measures value for count of sale order quantity that are greater than 5, when you wanted to create the measures, you created the measures from the sales table, not from the fact table. Why is it like that?
Okay. So great question. I think somebody's hand is up again. Let me take the questions together. Okay, Innocentia, please go ahead.
Sorry, sir.
Hello?
Did you hear
Your
my
hands
question?
are up. No, I didn't.
I said,
hello, can you hear me, sir?
No, Inspire. I think I've gotten your question already. I've gotten your question.
all right, sir.
I'm referring to Innocentia. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Please, sorry that I'm taking you back.
All right.
In table view, we have parts table, geography table, products table, and sales table. But sir,
Okay.
please, in the model view,
Okay.
all the table has relationship to fact table.
Okay. Okay.
Then how did you get this fact table? Is
How
it
did I?
from the data set? Or how did you get this fact table? Is it from the data
Sorry,
set?
please. Sorry. I
How
didn't get it.
is this? I say, how is this fact table being built?
Okay.
Is it coming from the
Is it coming from? Please finish up with your question.
Is it coming from a data set, or it just came on its own?
Okay. All right. So great question. So let me go with Inspire's question. Let me see if I can answer it as fast as possible. All right. So I mentioned earlier on that because of the peculiarity for every analysis you are doing, your data set must be representative of the questions or the analysis you want to carry out. All right. So as I mentioned earlier on that because of the examples I'll be giving, this star schema here is not representative of some of the examples I'll be giving. That's why I included this sales table here you are seeing. All right, because it's peculiar to some of the examples I'll be giving that I can't give here. So they both have their uniqueness. All right. So I will share both of them with you so that we can practice it as we progress. That was the reason I made use of this data set. So it's not, for now, it's not fully, it's a bit messy. Okay, so but this will answer some of the questions I'll be answering from the analysis I'll be carrying out for functions like logical functions, time intelligence functions, the filter functions. All right, so this will do. That's the reason I'm making use of this data set. But for now, we have to go on like this. That's the reason I made use. Does that answer your question, Aspire?
Yeah, but I would still like to ask that, is it that it's not necessary for us to for the sales table to have relationship with the fact table, or it is necessary for it to have relationship? Or
Okay, let me break it down. All right, so this sales table you are seeing here, it's a different data set entirely from this. There are no relationship. All right, it's a different data. Sales table here is a different data set from the whole star schema here. I chose it intentionally because I want to make some examples that this star schema is not sufficient enough to answer. That's why I am using it. So later on, I would share the data set with you so you can carry out the same analysis. But for the sake of this class, this sales table will answer some questions, and this will answer some questions too. So it's different. That's why I'm not creating any relationship between the both of them. Inspire.
all right, sir. Yes, thank you very much, sir.
All right. So
It
yes,
remains
Cynthia.
one. Okay.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I wanted to ask that when we wanted to create the measure for the order greater than 5, you created the measure with the sales table, not with the fact table. Is it because the sales table is not in relationship with the fact table? That's why you have to use the sales table, since there's no relationship with them.
Yes, for now we're working with the sales table. I will juggle both of them just to answer to perform some functions. All right. Okay. So let me. Okay. I'll answer a question in a sense. Let me show you something. So this is the reason. Let me go over to my fact table. All right. So if you look at this fact table now, this is a unique data set. It has some limitations, but it can answer some questions. That's the reason I chose the data set. Would have need to work with other data sets as we progress, especially when we go to SQL. So if you look at this sales table now, unit, this is fact table. Unit is the unit here is just 1 or true. All right. So when I'm carrying out calculations, or when you might not really appreciate it. So so it's just one, all. That means all true is just 1 unit. So if I multiply 1 times 5, it's going to give you 5. If I multiply 1 times 20, it's going to give you 20. So you won't appreciate it. But on the other side, if I come to my sales table here, all right, and I'm looking at, I hope there'll be a lot of time to cover this. But if I come to my quantity here, I still have a variation of different numbers. 1 down to 30. So when you multiply 15, so on a scale it up, you would appreciate the calculations better. So that's why I said both of them, they are complementing the class for today. Okay. All right. So in a sense, so you asked what was the question again?
My question is, how did you create that fact table?
Okay, the fact table. All right. So
yes.
So I think this was the last class you had with Mr. Daniel. All right. So most of the time we are working with a data set. Data set comes denormalized in the sense that it's just a flat table like this. Like this sales table is just flat. Okay. So you could break it down based on what's the word now, to get your dimension tables. So remember I said the fact table contains metrics. It contains a lot of things. It's your dimension tables gives your fact table analytical value, in the sense that you can filter down to You can ask questions like, we made a lot of sales. Yes, we made, for example, we made $50 million sales. Sales, yes, but by what category, or who, or which category did it come from, or what time or period of the year? So that's where your dimension table comes in, date. So you can now filter down your measures with your dimension table. Okay, we made so sales by what product category. All right, so that's so if you, I don't know if you've gone through the data modeling class that we had with Mr. Daniel. He broke these things down. So it's the same way here also. So your fact table, you create your star schema by making relationship with your fact table using your primary keys and foreign keys. All right, and just to add, your fact table contains all the observations, transactions that contains the data set, but your product, your dimension table contains unique values, right? So, and does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So just to add, because of time, just to add, anytime your data set comes, or when you do web scraping, or you gather your data through survey, sometimes, most of the times, it comes in one very large or long format, denominalized, before you now begin to break it down into different dimension tables. So this is it. So for this data set, it came like this, and I created a relationship between the fact tables. If you can see, this is the relationship between my product and fact table using my product key. So this is, if you look at the cardinality here, is minute 1. This is my fact table, contains the many observations. Observations here can occur several times, multiple times, but for the product table, it contains unique values, just unique. So I match it with the product IDs. Likewise, the geography table, likewise the customer and date. All right, so let me move forward because of time. Please just if you have any questions, you can still ask, please. Well, let's try and progress a bit fast so that we can cover some things. All right, so where was I? I think I was working with the count function. All right, so now we use the count x function with some some conditions. All right, unique. So like I said, the count function returns unique values, unique. All right, so let's take it a bit more, because as we progress, you get to, you need to know how to write advanced DAX calculations. So as we progress, you have need to write these calculations. So now let's say we want to know, for example, as an analyst, we want to know how customers are, there's what we call customer behavior, how customers interact with our product. All right, so we want to know how many numbers of rows where quantity is greater than 5, but for a particular product. All right, so over to my sales table again. Let's do some data profiling to understand the question better. So I come to my sales table, all right, and if you take a look at the product, so you can see that there are a lot of products here. All right, so this is a let's look at the categories. So these are the categories of products here: accessories, bikes, and clothing. All right, so bikes, it's a lot of persons purchase bike. This is a real data set. All right, so and there are a lot of transactions around bikes and clothing and accessories. So this is the product categories, and under the product, we have different kinds of products under the product category. So these are different kinds of bicycles. For clothing, we have different kinds of caps. AWC logo cap. For accessories also, we have them here, long sleeve polo. So that's why I said this data set is a bit, you might want to try to break it down or probably clean it, or just use the delimiter to get rid of these things. But so it could just strengthen your hand if you want to. I'll give the data set like that, and also in another format. So you can see, so these are clothing now, long sleeve, logo, JC, L, what does L, medium, small, large, okay, and extra large. So you can see, so these are the products. So we've just gone through different products, accessories, bikes, and then clothing. All right. So we want to know how customers are behaving with our products. We're writing, we've not gone to the visualization part of data for Power BI now. So we're writing DAX. So we use the count function now. The question is how count the number of rows where the quantity, the quantity that was sold is equal to so amount for a particular product. All right. So this is what we're going to do. So we come over to sales table here and click on new measure. All right. So we want to know where the bulk of our revenue is coming from and how many large sales, for example. So I'll call this large sales. We're still using the X functions, which is still under the aggregate functions also. Okay. So let's say large sales equal to the count. We're still using the count X function. All right. So like I mentioned, the count function, the first argument is always the table as an expression. All right. So the next thing we'll do, so it's a condition we're giving. So filter what the row context will do is that it calculates it row by row. All right. So filter for remember we call our sales tables sales. So remember the question, we want to know, count the number of rows. You see the same function, you see the same question we asked, the number of rows where quantity is equal to something or greater than, but for a particular product. All right. So we've written our table. The next is to write that expression. So we are looking after our sales quantity. All right. So sales quantity. Okay. So where sales quantity, this is the expression now, where sales quantity is equal to, let's say 27. Okay. So now understand the context of the question. We're looking for, we want to count the unique, transactions that were made at this, that had orders, quantity order of 27. So that's the first condition we're giving. But for a particular product, so that means how many times did people buy, let's say for this product you're seeing here now over my cursor, patch and kit, like how many times? So we're giving two conditions now. So to do that, we use the ampersand sign. All right. So we're telling, the DAX function is telling Power BI count the number of quantities that were equal to 27 for which particular product now. Okay. So we write our sales. So we've done the condition for sales quantity. So the next one we're looking at is for the product. Let's go with product. Okay. Where product is equal to, give the condition 2 again, equal to, okay, we looked at AWC logo cap. Now we want to know how customers are interacting. Follow me. I'm heading somewhere. So where product is equal to this. So how many of us know why I'm using the double quote? But for
I think it's because you are trying to reference to a text within a row.
within the product category, okay, yeah, within a colon. Thank you. So where products equals AWC cap, all right, logo cap. Okay, and then this is the expression we're writing. Right, so we've just satisfied the first argument here, or the first parameter here, which is the table. Okay, so write our sales order quantity. And click on enter. All right, so let's go to our report view, and okay, so where was the measure created again? Okay, we have 131 sales. Go over to my. All right, so what we just did now, we gave two conditions. We want to know how many quantities of cap that was sold equals 27, for example. So that's what we just did, and if you see from the report view, we have 131 unique transactions that had sales order quantity equals 27 for this particular cap. All right, let me take it a bit further now, so that would appreciate it better. Okay, so let's say, for example, now, if you look at, let's break it, let's do, instead of using order quantity, all right, let's use customer age. We want to know how many people are buying our products, who interacts well with our. Let me close this. So I don't know, for me, it depends on different perspective. Let's go to product category now. If you take a look at it now, the accessories, bikes, and clothing, for example. Now, in this part of Nigeria, for example, a lot of persons, people I see around, the people I see around with bikes are, maybe children, or they just want to have fun. There's a different, let's say in town now, for example, there's a kind of a latest designers that comes out, a particular brand of clothing, cap or something, and of course maybe sneakers, for example, or a different product, Adidas, Gucci. There's always people who want to keep up with their steez, and so we want to know who is patronizing this particular product. That's what this count function is answering now. We want to know who is patronizing this particular product. So because definitely, I don't think you see aged people wanting to go after headphones, for example, or go after sneakers. The sneakers is a trending thing. If you're a tech person, tech bro, you are a tech sis, you go out there, with your sneakers and everything. So all of this is customer behavior, who is interacting with our product. That's what this question is trying to answer now. So like I said, to take it a bit not really a bit further, but just to put it in context so that you appreciate it better, is let me come over to the sales product now. Instead of using order quantity, let's change this to age. Okay, let's change this to age. So this is there's age group. I think there's customer age here. Let's see how they are, who and who is interacting with our product. For this cap now, maybe let's say people that are very very enthusiastic about a whole lot of this. Let's say 20 years. Okay, I'll click on OK. Okay, I think we'll go over to our report view. So we've seen there's a difference in value now, 66. So what it means is that they are, for the age group, the number of unique persons that have bought this particular product you are seeing here, AWC cap, according to our age range, it's age 20. So we can do that for different conditions. Do we understand? Any question? I'm trying to see how I could answer this in real case scenario, rather than just having numbers. What does this number represent? So for me, you can make your analysis, you can make your insights. All right, so we can see that. Okay, let's see how let's look at the age demograph now. 45, we have 17, 18, 19, down to 67, 87 safe. So let's see how many people are interacting, the age range, or the age that is interacting with this product now, accessory. Go over to our sales, customer. Where were we just now? Large sales, and let's change the number here. Let's put 65 and see the result. Okay, go to our report view. So just 8. All right, so you just see, so it will tell you, if you visualize it, it will tell you that, okay, we have, so the higher the age range, the less, you can see, the less interested they are in in clothing. I think that cap falls under access in clothing too. And maybe in developed countries, you see, white people, they are always with their bicycle, and just having time outdoors and everything. So you can just see, using DAX functions, X function, you can begin to draw insights from your data. So these numbers, they represent something. All right, I think I've been speaking. Does anybody have any concern, any question? Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That means I can progress. If you have any clarity or anything any need for clarity, please mention so that we could progress. Okay. So I will just touch a bit of some of these functions so that I would appreciate it, understand how they are used. Okay, let me use the okay, let's use the average X function. I think let me run quickly on that. There are a lot of functions, a lot of X functions that you could try from the material. So I'm just trying to give an overview.
Sorry, excuse me, sir.
All right.
Sorry that I'm drawing back. I just want to ask for something. Like when you wanted to combine two conditions, you using the count X function, you use the two double ampersand instead of. I'm thinking, why is it that you use two, not one?
Okay. The reason is because I'm working with two Can you hear me? Because the reason because I'm working with two, conditions. Where is this? So we're working with two, conditions in the filter context here. That's the reason for using both, ampersand signs.
Okay. What if the condition is more than true? Will it be like 3% that will be indicated there, or is it as long as the condition is more than true, then the ampersand will also be more than true? I don't.
Yeah, as long so you could keep on writing more conditions as your depending on the depth of your analysis. All right, so you work with the ampersand sign there. When we're writing, maybe in the case of concatenation now, you put you work with two ampersand signs too, but you put your space in between in the middle.
Yes.
So it's more like it's applicable here also, but it's combining two functions. All right. Any more questions? So can I progress?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, all right. Okay. So these are just a few of the x functions. We could still do quickly. Let me see if we could do this. So we could do the average x function also. So the average x function, all right, it calculates the arithmetic mean of an expression evaluated over a table. So let's say we want to calculate let's do this. So it will go by row context. Average x. Okay. So like I said again, it gives the table as a first expression. And working with our sales. So the average x function calculates the arithmetic mean of a set of expression evaluated over a table on a row context. All right. So it's like it's all of them. They follow the same pattern: the sum x, the max x, the mean x, count x, average x. So it's an iterative process that they all follow through. So I want to calculate the average, the average sales amount per product. So what that means is that if I'm going to calculate the average sales amount, when you hear the word average sales amount, remember average your sales or revenue is different from your profits. Profits after you've calculated your selling price and cost price. So but your sales is the revenue. You've not removed your profit here. So we want to calculate the average sales amount. All right, average sales amount per product. So the expression will be, once you hear the word sales amount, of course you are making a multiplication between your quantity times or multiplied by your unit price, sales or revenue, to quantity multiplied by unit price. Okay, so you close your parentheses, and you can click on your OK. So what it does, just an understanding, is that it performs a row context, row by row, over and over, multiplying each units multiplied by the price, and then the average. So what it does is it calculates. Let me where is it? So this is order quantity, right? Order quantity multiplied by unit price. It goes over to the next row, the same thing, down to the last. All right, so it sums it up and divided by the total count, which is 113,000 rows, divided by the total count, right, per product. So we come over to our report view. We can still show it over here. Average X per product. So what this means is that we are making, so per unique product, we are making a sales, or we're having revenue. The revenue is around $842. All right. So probably when we move on to maybe some statistical functions in as we progress, you understand all of this, they have meaning. So average sales is $842 per product. So these are key KPIs in business. As you progress, they will add, they give value to your analysis. All right. So I think so because of time, let's move. I want to see if we can cover that. Probably we'll finish up by Sunday. Because of time, there's still a lot to cover. The other functions I would love us to cover. So we want to go over to our date function. So these are just for the basic X functions, all right, or not basic, the most common X functions you get to use. So you get to see some of them in the materials also, and can also practice them. All right, so we'll move over to our date functions. Yeah, before I proceed, and so okay, someone raising a hand. Please go ahead, Ojo.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Please, sir,
Yeah,
is it
good
only
day.
when we are using the count X that requires filter? Because you didn't use it for average
Okay,
just now.
okay, beautiful question. Any other question, please? Okay, let me answer that. So the reason we used this filter function here, we'll go over to filter functions hopefully in our next class. Let me open the measure again. Where was that function? I think it's okay. So the reason we use the filter function, okay, because we gave a condition, all right, and it for the condition to be met, the filter function has to be in place. The filter function meets a particular condition. So the condition, we gave two conditions: just provide sales, give me the value, or give me the unique transactions in number that met the condition of age 65. People who are 65 years old that made a purchase for this particular product, this logo cap. So that was the condition we gave. All right, that was the condition we gave. So we want to know how many number of transactions or orders we had from aged people who are 65 years of age that bought this kind of cap. It was a condition. So the first condition, so how the data analysis expression evaluates it is that it first meets this condition. It will scan through for all the age, range from the least age we have to the maximum age. And once it sees 65, okay, it keeps it aside. So we found customer who are within this age range or who are of this age, and then it goes over to iterate to see how many of them made purchase this for this particular product, this kind of cap. All right, and then it returns it. So that's filter. So it's the whole table. Where is it? So this is it. So this is the whole table. Well, okay, where is my? So this is the whole table. Okay. So and if you look at it there, so it goes over. So it iterates. It go over. That's the X function. It goes over. It goes from the next column, goes to the next row. Rather, it goes to the next row, goes down to the next row. So it skips 45. It skips 45. See 44. Look at we have 64 here, but the condition was 65. It will skip 64 and go over till it finds 65. All right, then it calculates it counts all of them. It's the count function. All right, and then after counting all of them, it keeps it aside and goes over again to the product where there was a product that met this category just for the AWC cap alone. All right, filter it here. So you see 65. Okay, so that's what it does. Does that answer the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Please go ahead. OC, you pronounce name correctly. Your hands are up. Okay, drop them down. So at the end, so this is it. So at the end, it should return the same value here. Bola, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Please, can you go over the average X function again? My network went off briefly.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think I was saying who spoke just now. So I was saying so this is just to cross check. I'm coming, Bola, just to cross check. Okay. So we have eight observations here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So for the age range 65 that purchased AWC logo cap. So we have 8 entries here, and we come over to the card we just made from our visuals. We have 8 here. So it's filtered for. So you can use that filter techniques to do it, but we are approaching it using DAX functions and the count X function. I was just adding to it. Wow, time. So you asked about Bola, you asked about average. Okay. Let me return this back to normal. I hope I need time to wrap up this thing. Okay, so where's the average again? The average X function. So I said the question was to get the average sales or average revenue per product. All right. So okay, I'm there already. So the average revenue per product. So like I said, it's an X function. It performs a row context calculation, row by row, row by row, row by row. So it calculates the quantity times the unit price. Okay, let me use this to explain. I think this is let me use this Excel sheet to explain. I just hope to be fast. All right, so what that function did just now was to calculate, multiply quantity times price, quantity times price, quantity times price down down to the last row here. Okay, where are we again? All right, so this is what it did. Multiplied quantity times price. All right, and then we have our sales revenue. All right, so and it sums it up, sums all of this up, divided by the count. So we have, how many entries do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21. So it divided 3941 by 21 and gave us the average. All right. So does that answer your question? That's what happened here. So we are
Yes,
having
sir.
the average. The average. Okay. All right. So let's progress. Present something. Okay. All right. So there's something. Let me see how cool. So the thing is, most as we progress, all right, we'll be making use of this DAX functions. All right. So while I might not cover everything here, we'll still apply them. So we just get the basics, right? The most used functions. I must touch logical functions today. By God's grace, I need to touch logical functions because if you go at this pace, all right. So one of the things is that I remember when I was carrying out one of the analysis I carried out in Power BI, and I needed somebody to help me do it then. And the first thing that came with the data set was, or the data set comprised of just the sales and everything, but there was no date colon, and it was a task. All right, it was a task, and the task was to carry out sales analysis based on, and there's what in time intelligence, what we call there are different functions. Year to date, you are comparing your prior year sales to your previous to your current year to date, month to date, quarter to date. So you are comparing. Don't worry, when we get to time intelligence, we'll learn all of those things. So back to my story. So the next thing we had to do was to create a date. I didn't know why we're creating date, but then when we created the date, we're able to carry out analysis, based on time, based on date, based on that category. So date is very important, and your date colon or your date table must cover the first observation in your data set to the last. In fact, you can even write DAX function that can give you date into the future when you are trying to predict. All right, so you're trying to make predictions, so you need your date functions to do that. So we assume that we don't have date colon, for example, or date table. The first thing we're going to do, there are different DAX functions. The first one I will cover is the calendar auto function. All right, the calendar auto function. To do that, we'll come over to our modeling tab. All right, and we'll click on new table. Before I proceed, please, is the attendance going on, so that before we end the class, most people would have. Miss Precious. All right, all right, all right. So want to write let's assume we don't have a calendar table now, because this data set, it has a date table already. We saw it. So we want to create a date table. Very, very important in carrying out your analysis. So we'll name this measure, or this table rather, let's say calendar. Okay. Right. So the first function we'll make use of is the calendar auto function. All right, so look at the expression. Can we see the context of this function on my screen? It returns a
Yes,
date
sir.
with one colon. All right, beautiful. So let me explain something here. So the calendar function, what it does with the calendar auto function, all right, there are two kinds of function here. I'll work with the calendar and the calendar function. So the calendar auto function returns a table with one column of dates calculated from the model automatically. What that means is that the calendar function, it goes to your model and looks for a date, all right, and maps it. Okay, let me just close that. So I close the parentheses and I'll click on enter. All right, so the calendar, it goes to the model, looks at the data set in the model and checks for the date. All right, so this is how it's performed. Let me share something else. So this is how it evaluates. Okay, so it goes to your model, all right, looks for the first date. The first date here, as you can see, is 2016, 1st of January. All right, so look at the steps here. It finds the data column from all the data sets. Finds data column from all the data sets. All right, and then step 2, it finds the minimum and max dates from all the data columns, or all the date columns rather, all the date column value. So it first finds the date column in that data set, if there is, and then it looks at the minimum. The minimum here is 2016. We have 2016 here. We have 2017. We have 17, 17. We have 2018. We have 20. So the least date here is what? Minimum date here is 2016. Okay, 2016. And then the max is 2019. All right. So what it does now is that it now combines the date, which is the step 3. All right, combines the date value into one single column. This from the minimum to the maximum. 1st of January 2016 down. You can see this color here, and it goes to the green 2019, the least date. Okay. Trend. All right, so that's what it does, and then it puts everything in the date column 1. So let's go over to present something else. Let's go over to Power BI. All right. So it's just a simple function, okay? Just a simple function, calendar auto. It's already evaluated. So let's take a look at it. We'll go over to report view. All right. So we bring a table to visualize it. Okay, and then we check for the table here. So you can see over here, it has created a date column, just one. So we drag it into this. Right, so the least date in our column is 2011. We want to check for the maximum date. We can okay, let me convert it into this thing first. All right, so this like I said, this is the column, just one column, like what I showed in the Excel sheet, not quite long. Year, quarter, month, and day. So it has given you a date column now, year, quarter, month, and day accordingly. All right, so we go over to we want to format it into a date colon. We just date, we click on this date. All right, so it has given us the date time format. All right, but we're not satisfied with this. We want it in just a date format, in just date format here.
Hi, Faith. I think your network is bad or something. We can't hear you. Let's just wait for him. I think the network is disturbed.
Hello, can we hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I might just have to close some. So I was logged out from the network I'm making use of. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, beautiful. So I was saying the dates colon. Let's go to hello, can we see my screen? All right. Okay, I wasn't getting any feedback.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So moving forward, so I said the calendar, it gives us the date. It goes to, so right now it's, remember the condition it, or the explanation it gave is that it goes to, for the calendar auto, it goes to your model, all right, to look for the date colon there. and then it picks the least date and the maximum date. So we come over here to can come to click on the date. We still want to format it. You go to the format pane here, and then you can change it to the month. Remember, it's still in this format. It's still in this format, date time. So we'll change it to, oh, let me see if we can. So we change it to the date, month, year. All right. Okay, so this is for the calendar auto. Now let's I'll tell you the comparison. Let's assume we don't have a data set at all. Sorry, a date in a date table. We can use the calendar function. We come over again to our modeling tab, click on new table. All right. And then we can write calendar. Is this written? Okay, calendar table. Okay, so we use the calendar function. All right, so we have the calendar function here, and we have the calendar auto. So click on the calendar function. So now this is the argument or the parameters you have to include. It says it returns a table with one column of all dates between start date and end date. So you are the one defining it. All right. Unlike the calendar auto, if I put auto here again, you will see it says it returns a table with one column of dates calculated from the model. Emphasis on the model automatically. So this is a case where you don't have table. All right. So it's maybe a data set you've just collected and maybe survey, and you know the time you collected the data and the time of or end of your data collection. For those of us that are doing research in school, project work, and the rest. So this is it. So let me go back to the calendar. Click on the calendar. Click on tab. Sorry. So it's requesting for a start date. So to do this, you write your date function. So this brings me to the next function, date function. You can write, not date table, sorry. Date function. All right. So the date function is just like combined 2 in 1. The date function, the parameters includes the year. The same thing here. You know, year, month, and date. Year, month, and day. So the year. So let's say we want to, we can say 2019. 2019, okay. 015, 05 rather, May. So this is the format, and then 19. Okay. So we click, we close the parentheses, and then you see it's highlighted blue. We go over to the next parameter, end date. We do the same thing. Okay, Benedetta, please hold on. I'll respond. So this is the end date, 2020. Of course, it should be a year. Write your date again. All right. So it gives you the same functions or parameters rather. Yeah. So write 2020. Okay. 05. Just random date coming to my head. Let's say 19 also. All right. So this is it. We add another parenthesis to close this other first one. So we've calculated it. All right. So the next thing, we'll do the same thing also. We can come to our report view. Are we in our report view already? Okay. Okay, so we can bring our table here. All right. Calendar table, click, go to this is table, this is column. put it here. So it's the same format it gave us: year, quarter, month, and then we can format it here to date. You just want it in this format. Come over here to format it to date, month, depending on whichever one you are okay with. Right, so this is it. So just a recap. Just a recap. We can do this. This is useful when we don't have a data set already. Okay, when you don't have a table in your data set, this is where it becomes handy. So it contains all the dates. So it contains all the dates, or it just gives you a range of dates, and you can use to carry out your analysis based on date. Okay. Please go ahead with your question.
Good evening. It's not actually a question.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Please,
can.
your screen is very tiny. I can hardly see what you are doing.
So sorry about that. How will I zoom in? I think the only thing, I don't know, PowerBI just gives you that. I think I can only zoom in my formula bar here. Is this what you want?
I think she should zoom from my end. She can
Okay.
still zoom from, yeah.
You can put your
from my end.
Thank you. You can put your phone on landscape. I don't know. Does anybody know how to zoom Power BI? I know for just the what do you call it? This formula bar, like I've just done here, can decide to keep on increasing it. Writing or I could even click on this drop down here. So please just bear, or if you can find a way to.
The formula bar is okay. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Doris, please go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. So my question is, in the
Hello, who's speaking? Please mute your mics, please.
Alamin. Hectic also.
Let me try. Okay. Please mute your mic. Salihu. Let me. All right. Please, Doris, go
okay, sir.
ahead.
So what I'm trying to say is that you're like, let's assume that we are not giving a date. Like, let me say you are giving a data set. In a case
Okay.
that the problem you want to solve, it requires a date. Let me just say like a sales data set that it requires the date of when all those stuffs are purchased, like there's a date they are purchased and everything, because you're going to use it to solve the problem. You trying to create a date with auto date or calendar, how will you be able to like create a date that will match the exact date of that purchase? I don't know if you get my question.
Please go again, but just be a bit just be brief.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is you're like, let's assume that there is no date in this particular data set you're working on, so you're trying
Of
to use
course.
calendar
Okay.
date auto calendar
Okay.
auto, sorry, to bring out a date. So I'm saying that in a case that you are giving a data to work on, like to get the solution to the problem that maybe your client is asking you to solve, and it says data like, okay, the person sells, let's just say, all these clothing materials, accessories, and everything. You need to get the particular date, like kind of date of when those things are purchased. We are purchased. Like, you understand what I'm trying to
Okay.
say?
Okay.
How can
Okay.
you
Let
on
me.
your own dates?
All right. Let me see. Let me. I hope I got your question right. So you have you've collected your data. You have a data set, right? But it doesn't have a date. And how do you create a date table that tracks the exact date that that observation was made, or transaction, or is that your question?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir.
All right. So that's where data collection comes. So if you have a data set, that's what most businesses suffer. So you are having transactions, but then there are no dates to track it. So first of all, it's going to be making things complicated already. So you don't have a data collection system that tracks your date. All right. So where this calendar auto or calendar function comes in handy. All right. It's for you to have a date colon that can answer your questions when you are beginning to answer questions like transactions by what period, or you want to begin to aggregate things, or maybe get answers at a granular level, trying to answer some questions. That's where this date function comes in. But if you're collecting data, if you're collecting data, all right, then it's your responsibility as a data analyst to ensure that you have date colons that are corresponding to those entries or observation. All right. Else, you have to make use of the date colon, this calendar function and calendar auto, which might not be really satisfactory. All right, which might not be really. That's why even this sales data set now, here, this that is just on its own, standalone. If we look at it, it has its own date, tracking everything that was coming in. So this, like I said, this is a real data set. If you can see, it's not a dummy data set. All right, it's a real data set. So tracking all the transactions or all the observations that came in that day. So these are automated systems also that just tracks it down. So you have your date. So the reason, see where that this date function can come in now. Now I'm very sure it's not every day that transactions will be made. For example, what about days where there are no sales made, or it can happen in business, no transaction at all. But people build their model with just this date alone. But it's advisable, best practice, that you have your date colon that covers the whole of the year, the calendar year. All right, because when you begin to write DAX, advanced DAX functions, you see the need for it. Like I said, you can build models into predict the future and everything. So would you say that we've not gotten to the future yet? But so is it necessary? If you can create date colon or date into the future, how about now where we've had transactions in real time? So it's very, very necessary. It's very, very necessary. So there are several ways to it. Does that, do you still have any concern, or does that answer your question?
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
You're not still sure. Okay. I think probably you're not satisfied with the response. Or I didn't get your question well.
Would I say I'm not satisfied with the answer or something? Because me myself, on my own, I'm just trying to imagine like how possible it is for us to get the exact date as those things are purchased, like the shoe or the cap, the exact date they are purchased, in order to solve the problem that maybe you are giving your data sets to solve. So when you are talking about auto calendar and everything, because I know that when we did this thing, trying to create a calendar, this thing, table. When we did it, we just like date, then we put 2019, we put 5th, and then we put 19. You get, I say like we are assuming dates, like we are assuming it's trying to, so that you can be able to fill in the date space. Just like we are assuming the date ourselves. God is looking at, that's why I was asking.
Okay, I get your question. Now let me answer it this way. I get your question. Don't worry, I get your question. All right, let's do it this way. Doris, right? Are there times where you've made transactions? Probably you just look at your bank account now and you see that you can't track the date you made that transaction, all of a sudden you just see maybe 10,000 naira, 20,000, 50,000 has left your account, but you can't, because you didn't have record keeping, and you can't refer back to the date. Are there situations like that?
I don't even know. I don't even think so, because I think maybe we can go back. We can always go back to our transaction history, unless system kind of lost it. Okay, for instance, now I say data, and I have a website where people purchase data, and in my
Okay.
website, my data set of every day, it has the minute that data was purchased, the day it was purchased, like the DC, so that it will be easy for me to track transactions. I can
Okay.
only not be able to track a particular transaction if those information or something happened to the system and it was the thing formatted on its own.
Okay. I think, okay, let me put it this way. Time is already going. I hope I can cover this in, but just spare me some minutes. Let me answer it this way now. So that is automated. Okay, when you make transaction with OP, money comes and then you can always go back to your history. So now I started doing something because I'm trying to cultivate a habit, record keeping, data analysis. I track. You order a let's say you enter a, a keke today, you just go to a store, just a shop around, and then you made a transaction of 500 naira. Maybe you got detergent or you got baking soap with that 500 naira. All right, now that is, you're making transaction with fiat currency now, physical cash. I'm asking now, there is questions for you. If you don't track, if you don't keep record of that transaction after days after, would you be able to recall? Let's say you forget to recall the date or that day you go to a shop nearby or a pharmacy. You didn't get transfer, you just give cash, and you go to pharmacy shop to get something, paracetamol or any kind of medicine, and after weeks after, you made transaction but you can't recall the date. How do you go about it?
Mm. Okay, in a case like that, it's okay. Sometimes you just do assumption. You be like, it was last week. Well, last week, what exactly? You just assume.
Okay, so have you lost record of that already? You're assuming now, and remember, data analysis, you must be your data. If you're analyzing data, your data you should have very high integrity, very detailed,
Yes.
meticulous. So that's what we call data integrity. So if you're assuming now, you're not sure. Assumptions. So do you get
If
the
I
point
forget,
I'm driving?
like, depending on how we go, like sometimes somehow you can trace with your brain. You'll be like, okay, what did I buy last? What did I purchase
Yeah,
last week? How did this see? You
I
just kind of
know.
start tracing back.
I get, so, but that's, you're making assumptions, so you can't really some. So if you don't, what I'm trying to say now, just to drive the point home, what I'm trying to say, that
Okay.
if you don't have, if you don't keep good record, you understand, you'll be left with assumptions which you don't want. So there's sometimes maybe your data set does not have the corresponding dates and everything. You can go with assumptions. Dates colon can come in handy also.
All
So
right. Thank you
there,
very
there,
much.
there, there are different ways about it. There are different ways about it. I understand your question,
Uh,
but even if my answer is not um very very responding to your consent, but I think we've come to a middle ground. At least we understand ourselves.
yes. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, you're welcome. Someone was raising their hands up. Raphael,
Yeah.
please go
Good
ahead.
evening, sir. Good evening once
Good
again.
evening.
Please, I know this question is not related to what you are teaching now, but please, I want to know, like, if you want to get data from, let's say, from WhatsApp or any other site and analyze, how do you go about that? How do you pull out that data from, like, for instance, now you have a WhatsApp group where people just drop in their orders and all that, and then at the end of the month you want to, like, pull out the record for the month and analyze and know, okay, I want to know how many times this person has placed an order, or that, I don't
Okay.
know. How do we go about that?
Okay. So, recently I was I was looking at a company's data sets, business data sets, yeah, and trying to look at it and just give some recommendations. I made that post on my LinkedIn, and so one of the ways of data collection, majorly is through survey, all right, and then through automated system. There's what we call web scraping, like you just mentioned now, all right. Web scraping means you go on sites to scrape. That's the word, to scrape data. All right, so sometimes it comes in unstructured, very, very voluminous, unstructured, scattered, and messy, and very, very, very. So it's called. So you can go on any site. You can go to Jumia, for example, and to scrape their data. Sometimes they give their data set is open source, is open to the public. There's some sites that you can scrape data, and there are tools also you can use to do that. You can use Python. There's what we call Beautiful Soup. You can use Python to scrape data online. You can use R. I've tried using R before, R programming language, to scrape data online. All right. So, and you analyze it, you get the data set. COVID-19, when there was COVID-19, a lot of persons were going online to scrape data. Hello, who's that? Musa, please. So you can go ahead. You can go ahead to scrape. You can go ahead to scrape your data set. So that's how you can get data set. Algorithms. Like I was giving an example. During COVID-19, a lot of analysis were done. You go online to scrape data set. There are different sites you can do that also. I think I wanted to touch logical functions. A lot of questions coming up. Okay, so Rafael, does that answer the question? It's outside of the scope of what we're doing now. All right, outside of the scope.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Musa, you were already talking before you raised your hands. Please go ahead. Hello.
Sorry, my children, sorry.
Okay, please go ahead. Seems okay. Your hands are dropped. No problem. So can we? Okay, there's no more question again. Any other question? All right. Can we spare some time? If I could just go over some few things. Okay, anywhere we stop today, just maybe some few minutes. Miss Precious, are you in sync? Okay, she's not on the call. Let me just proceed. All right. So we'll still touch other functions, but because of time, let me say I could. Like I said, as we're writing DAX in Power BI, we would get to refer to these functions. All right. So I just want to introduce us. It's a bit. It's still basic, but I'm going a bit intermediate. So get ready. Sit back tight and write. Great DAX expressions. All right. So for example, say that this is logical function. We want to carry out an analysis based on our geography. Where is my geography table? Might be too advanced. I hope my battery is going to carry. Okay, now so this is a question in view. Or I want to make use of the if statement. All right, the if, so it's a logical, we've been introduced to if logical functions in Excel. So by now I believe we are familiar with it. All right. So let's say we want, let's do a calculated colon now. We have our region here in this data set. All right. And if you come to this filter section of it, you see that there are just 3 regions here: central, east, west. Okay, I think if this will stop, I'll be glad. Just some minutes. Central, east, and west. So we want to write some conditions now. That's depending on the weather condition. We go over to the geography table. All right, right click, and we click on new colon this time around instead of new measure. So I'll explain that. So clicking on the new measure, clicking on the new colon, you come over here to write our if function. Whether, so we want to associate the weather condition with the region. So in the northern part of Nigeria, for example, sometimes can be cold. You know, this part of the region can be hot, or this part of the region can be hot. So we want to associate our region with the weather condition. All right. So the next thing we do is to create the variable name weather condition. I think I'll just end here. Weather condition. Please follow through. Okay. All right. So the first function I'm going to introduce us to now is the if function. It's a logical function, right? So you can see another way of writing your DAX here. You can come over. You must not always write your DAX in one line. All right. So I use the shift and the enter key to go to the next line. You can use the shift, the combination of shift and the next key, go to the next line. All right. So, and let me introduce you to comments also. You can also write comments in your DAX formula bar using the forward slash sign. So we can write, so you're just writing a comment to understand your DAX code. Writing right, so I click on my shift plus enter key and go to the next line. So we want to associate the weather condition to the region. So we say if the function if you look at it now, it checks whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another value if false. So the first parameter here, the first logic, or the first argument here is a logic test. All right. So the logic test is, so we're writing the condition if the region, that's the logic test, if the region equals this, so we refer to the region colon is inside the geography table. So to call it forth, we write if geography, okay, see geography here, city, country, or looking for region, right region. If geography equals, all right, equals east. Remember, we'll put it in our double quote. If geography equals east, all right. So that's the first logic. Yes. So we'll put in our comma. 2. If geography equals east, okay. Return if true. What are we going to return? So we're going to return, let's say, code. Let me put it in my double quote, code. Okay. So we've written that function, that so if it's not code, what do we return? We're not done yet. So we'll go to the next line. If, write the same thing. If geography equals region, all right. If it's equal to the next thing we're writing, if it's equals we have west. All right. If it's equal west, return what? Let's say we return warm. Okay, put our comma and it highlights the result if false in blue. So we're not done yet. We just have 3 conditions we want to put. Go to no, supposed to press next. I want to press enter. It's going to return an error. So we go over to the next line. If the same thing again, click on okay, there's a comma here, no wonder. All right. So if geography again, all right, equal, if geography, the region is equal, this is in our double quotes, equals central. All right, we just have 3 geography region. What should it return? So if the central part of the country, return hot. All right, so we put in our hot word here, and then else what? So these are the 3, we've made the 3 conditions now. Else return. So we want to satisfy this result if function. Else return NA, not available. All right, return NA, and then we close our bracket, our parentheses. All right, we close it for this first one here, and then we close it again for this second logic function. Then we close it the 3rd time for this, and then we click on enter to see what will happen now. All right, so it has satisfied the condition. So weather condition for east, all the east region is cold, right? So you can see cold, hot, and warm. So that means it satisfies our condition. Cold. If we go down, go down, or we can just, instead of doing that, can just select for just warm, where central is. To warm, this is for, oh, warm is for west. Okay, warm is for west. Then hot is for I think central. Yes, so hot is for central. So this is how it is evaluated. So I just showed you how to write, for those of us that are familiar with it already, familiar with programming languages, you can write your comments here. Then this is a function. So if geography equals east, return cold. If it equals west, return warm. If it's equal region, return if it equals central, return hot. So let's just one more thing. Let me try to manipulate this. Let me put something. We only have east, west, and central. Let me put north. Let me put north now. We don't have north. Let me put north here and see what it will return to satisfy that condition. Okay, so not. So if it's not, if it's sent, the region is not, return hot. Let's see what will happen. If I clicked on enter, okay.
I think you've already specified the column, like you click on central before writing the condition.
up already. Hello, can we hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I lost connection. I didn't even know. I had to check from my other device. All right, so can we see my screen?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. So I was saying this not we want to check if this not satisfies the condition. Now there's no not. If you come to the region, it's only central, east, and west. So now we want to see what will happen if we put not. So we've evaluated that function already. So let's check. So filter for NA. All right, so it satisfies the condition. If geography region is equals not, put hot. Else, NA. That means if you go through the colons iteratively and you don't see not equals not, if you don't see not, put NA. So now it has seen central, but there's no condition for central, so it included NA. All right, so I think this you should be familiar with this from the logical functions we did in Excel. All right, so because of time, I'll end here. I just wanted to touch logic functions today so that we can, by Sunday, we can wrap up with DAX and then look at what do you call it, the other topics, drill downs, creating visuals, and the likes. And then we enter SQL where we write codes. All right, so does anyone have a question? Anyone have a question? Yeah, Benedicta, please go ahead, please. Yeah, you're
Please,
welcome.
I want to know, is this data set the same Mr. Nate was using?
No, this is a different data set.
Can it be uploaded?
Definitely. So you get the materials and the data set also so that you can practice along. Definitely, you will get it. All right. All right. So, any other question? Any other comment? Okay. I hope you got value for your time today. So, all right, I will share the materials with us.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. It's always a nice time here. All right. So if you're done with your attendance, if you're not done, please do that so that because I'm ending the call now.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Please fill the attendance. We're gradually approaching the end of the sessions. It all accumulates to your performance and your certifications. Please, your hands are up.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, please, when are we getting the videos from your last lectures? Because some of us would like to go back to review.
All right, it's uploaded already. So check the YouTube handle
Thank you,
of
sir.
TEFEM.
Thank
All right, you're welcome. Have a good night. Enjoy. All right, bye for now.